Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley. And I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocket Jack Comics. And they right now have a comic in comic shops, Guinevere and the Divinity Factory, which came out in April. And I think you could still order it and check it out. And I think there's a few more coming in May. So go bother your local comic shop if they don't already have copies. There's some awesome covers, some whiskey paints out there with that, as well as my good friend Preston hosts a Whatnot channel where you get some really great books, Pocket Jack Comics. And if you sign up with the link down below, you get $15 on your first order, as well as you could use code Andrew to get a nice additional 15% off some sexy comic artwork. But enough about that, because I have with me Austin Osueke. Hopefully I got your last name right. If I didn't, feel free to correct me. But you're a fascinating individual because I think I interviewed you 3 or 4 years ago where we spoke about comic distro, and that was the inception. And that was because somebody made a YouTube video, and I felt that you needed more time to explain it. And obviously, you run a pretty interesting distribution platform. I think it's both digital as well as physical. And so, what is comic distro for those who are hearing about it for the first time, and even your background and some other stuff? Because there's people who know who you are, and there's people who don't.
Well, Comic Distro is a place where you can sell your comic book directly to retailers, bookstores, booksellers, comic book stores, things like that. So we just came about because it was difficult to get your book as a comic book publisher, studio creator to stores. Like if you wanted to work with, let's say, the Diamond or whoever, it was just getting increasingly difficult. So we wanted to break down those obstacles and just enable everyone to be seen and be purchased by stores. We just leveraged our 20 years of experience as a publisher and working with stores in the whole um, book delivery process, and we digitized it for everybody.
So let's actually talk about this a little bit because obviously a store going through Diamond, and I don't know how Lunar and Random House and all those people have kind of dealt with it. And I know I'm missing some names here, but I think everybody knows where I'm going with this. Where my understanding is that you needed to have minimums with them, and that could be really pricey, as well as the idea is that you don't know, and not every indie book or not every, I guess, third level book is going to be in Diamond or another publisher or wants to be. And so, what is that like too? Because, and then the other thing is that maybe a store only wants to order 10 copies of a book. And I don't think you have high amounts that you need to order. I think on certain books, you could order one book. And so, if a customer wants something, because I know you had the Michael Jordan, I just had Darren Davis on, and I really enjoyed that book. And I know that I think if you're a store, you can order 1 or 2 copies, which is the minimum, which is a low risk for a store. So what is that like too? Because you're making money and a store has an ability to bring in an item that could go well, but also have minimal risk. Because that's a really hard thing I feel in comics right now.
Well, I still work with Diamond as a publisher. I publish a comic book company called Ego Manga, so we still work with them for our books. And what you say is not necessarily the reality for me. I've been working with Diamond since 2003, almost 20 years. So now there isn't a minimum for there is no threshold or any type of minimum for them to pick up your book. Well, if you're in the system, you just make a solicitation and they put in their catalog and you get orders from their from I forgot the term. Order
Reviews?
no. Well your book is in their previews, and then stores they all get the previews for their businesses, and they order from what they see from previews, and then Diamond will send you an email of an order of a your purchase order. That's what purchase order from from previews, and then you fulfill that order. So you can have 3,000 copies ordered or even 36. So it's just up to you to make sure that you print those orders and make sure that they are shipped to Diamond's warehouses so that they can send it to stores. So, but I do agree with you before that they did have like a $2,000 um, threshold, as you can say. That was in 2009, and that's when a period when they just killed off a lot of indie publishers back then, myself included, even publishers like Viz and such. So that was 2009, and
Let's go into this a little bit because obviously things have changed, and I'm gonna make something, and feel free to tell me to be quiet. But I think Diamond, I don't want to say they're in trouble, but they're in a little bit of a hard spot because when DC and Marvel left them, that's a big two clients to leave. I don't think that that's anything controversial for me to say. And obviously other companies like Dynamite, IDW, Zenoscope, and a few others. I don't know if I think Titan is still with Diamond, but obviously that left a really big hole in their balance sheet in a lot of ways. And so I know that that also I think could have had an effect. And then I know there's been things where companies have Diamond exclusives and things of those that have popped up. And so clearly something has shifted in comics where I don't know if Diamond is the be all end all anymore. It used to be. But that's why I think your company is so interesting because it, in many ways, might be easier for a comic store to order 40 copies. And we'll use Darren Davis because he was just on my show 40 copies of that Michael Jordan book from you directly than rather doing it through Diamond or Lunar or another publisher just because it's legitly a click on a website.
yeah,
And then they can say, cool, this is really hot. And I have a store in Chicago and I know C2E2 is coming up. Let me get these Michael Jordan books. And they don't have to plan 3 months ahead. They could plan 2 weeks ahead. And that's a big difference.
yeah. So you had a lot. You bring up a lot there. First of all, I want to go back to Diamond. I
I'm
guess
sorry.
no.
It's
I
all
wanna.
drinking. We all make happy accidents.
Well, I kind of I think I have to re-say what I not re-say, but just kind of correct what I said before. So it's easier now. Like they don't have a threshold now. It's because of what happened in 2000, the COVID-19 2020 situation. Before then, it was incredibly hard to get into Diamond. Even as for me as a publisher, it's like it was the bureaucracy was insane. So that's what drove me. That really upset me, and it just motivated me to do comic distro because of the gatekeeping was insane, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't balanced. Like I remember I was doing the right things, like doing everything he told me to do to solicit a comic book. And I had a huge track record for this book that I was doing. It had an anime, it had a huge following throughout Europe and all that. And I had a lot of collateral, a lot of marketing. And they still said no. But the startup from Seoul, Korea, they just talked to the people without any type of collateral or anything at all. They just had one book, and they were able to get in. And it's like that wasn't fair at all. I just hated the whole. Just that really upset me. But just what I was going to say is that something happened in during 2020 with the COVID-19 thing, as it was reported many times how Diamond had to pretty much shut down their operations because of COVID-19, and it caused many stores to not be able to have the latest listings from Diamond for previews and all that. So it caused a major supply chain issue for publishers, and DC, Marvel, they had enough, and others they left, and they did their own plans with other companies. So and it just kind of proved our point for comic distros, that Diamond had a monopoly on the entire distribution on the comic book industry, and it killed the lives of stores. Publishers had to shut down operations, and new publishers couldn't get into these into the comic book business because of Diamond. So it was like it just proved to everyone how damaging this their situation was for everybody. So and it proved Comic Distro's point why there need to be an alternative, and there need to be a simple, easier way to just get your books in stores and to keep going and to create a business for yourself, whether it's or a small independent creator or like a company like Tidal Wave. Yeah, for Tidal Wave, for example, you mentioned about Michael Jordan and such. There, we're so happy to be working with them and Mr. Davis. Their books are the highest selling of our company. Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, I believe even Vasilina are some big sellers on Comic Distro, and it's just an alternative. They have all distribution. They work with other many different channels, but they still work with us, and they can still make sales and they can get their books released. And also, like you said, it may take a month or 3 months to to release a book through, like, say, Diamond or another distributor. But for us, once they get the order in, it immediately goes to a printer, and the printer, it could take a week, it could take up to 4 weeks depending on the volume. Immediately ships out to the retailer. So the length of
I
time
think
is
that's the thing. I mean, I obviously sell a lot of books on eBay, and there are people who get me books really quickly. So I order something, and then it's here within 2 3 weeks, and I consider a quick order 2 months. 3 months is good. So 10 to 12 weeks is within reason. But on Kickstarter, I am waiting for projects for 9 months, sometimes a year, and I haven't announced it, but I'm no longer going to be backing many Kickstarters at high volumes for resale purposes because I can't wait 9 months. I can't run a business that way. And I would rather buy product where I'm making $1, but it's in my hand within 2 weeks because I need to turn around product. I buy a lot of baseball cards and they come within 20 days to me. I can wait 3 weeks. I really can no longer wait 6 months. And I think there's something to be said about that. And I think a lot of comic stores are saying, wait a second, if Taylor Swift is selling out of my store, but I just placed an order with Diamond for 100, how do I get another 100 of those books? And I think that's what's interesting about what you're doing is that, or Michael Jordan's a good example. If Michael Jordan is selling out and I ran a comic shop, I now might need to find places to buy that because I know they're going to sell. And I think that's a really interesting position now that's occurring. And so that's why I think this is so interesting because it provides an ability for a store to pick up merch that they need, especially with a company like Tidal Wave. Because if I ordered 50 Michael Jordan from Lunar, Diamond, wherever, and great, they all sold out, but then another 50 people in my shop want it, you're providing me an opportunity to make more money. And I think this is where comics has gotten it all wrong. You need to make product so accessible to buy that if something is red hot, I can get it to sell it.
Yeah, I agree. So it's important to have books printed and shipped out as soon as possible. Time is of the essence. I totally agree. So we try to make sure that we can get some quality printed productions out as soon as we can, and we're on top of that because we value every retailer that worked with us. So they don't have to be working with us. They can work with Diamond, they can work with Lunar and others and Random House, but they chose us and they're believing in us. We're still very small, and but they're giving us a shot. So it's very important that we do a good job the first time. Well, all the time, but it's important for us that we do a great job so that they can trust us and rely on us, and tell others too. So far, we've been doing that. We're happy with a few chains, comic book chains that worked with us um, since this time. So not just one store, but many of their little branches.
Yeah, so to even go further into this too, because obviously when you have a company like Tidal Wave or Antarctic Press is there, and I think Mount Olympus does Patriotica through Antarctic Press.
Yeah.
There's a few others that you've worked with as well. What is that like too? Because that is a sign of legitimacy to some degree. Because I think Antarctic Press does go through Diamond, but they're also going through you. And I don't know if you're necessarily even competing with Diamond because I don't think that a comic shop, whoever's ordering from you, is necessarily anti diamond. I just think that this is just another alternative and it's another option to buy. And also, maybe they bought 50 from Diamond, but they need another 10 because there's a lot of things that can be done when you can buy almost print on order and have your books within 3 weeks. And so, what is that though? Because if you didn't have Antarctic Press or you didn't have Tidal Wave wanting to work with you and a few others, you're still a great operation, but it's a nice legitimacy stamp. If that makes any sense. I
Yeah,
don't know how to explain that any other way. I'm sorry.
I know.
That's
It's
I'll explain it in my world, right?
uh,
I got to interview, Ralph Tedesco and Joe Brescia from Zenoscope. There gets a point now when I walk into a room and you have a list of 20 top people in comics that when you want that 21st person, somebody says, oh my God, this kid has done 800 interviews and he's done 100 top people. Why am I not in that list now? So when I walk and I ask certain people, I get a different response because of all the work that I put in. And that's kind of Antarctic Press, Tidal Wave, and a few others is that legitimacy stamp saying, oh, this is not a startup that's fucking around. This is a company that actually has the privilege and the rights to print books that are hot.
I agree. So I'm very I'm glad to work with Antarctic Press, Tidal Wave, Asylum Press, and others. We weren't really trying to go after those level of publishers. We were trying to go initially. We were trying to go towards the independent creators, the people who does like one comic, one shots, just very small people who are just trying to get their foot in the door. That was our initial idea of comic distros for them. But I'm very blessed and very honored to work with Tidal Wave. Mr. Davis, he reached out to us via email, and I guess he read a press release or maybe saw your video and thought we were cool, so he gave us a shot. That was awesome. Like you said, he gave us a lot of legitimacy, and it was amazing. Soon others came. We never really approached the others. They just came and
So let's even go into that a little bit too, because all of a sudden you obviously have Tidal Wave on there. And you got the Taylor Swift stuff, Travis Kelsey. You have some of the other stuff that they've done, and they have so many titles. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how many titles they have. But obviously the Taylor Swift stuff's really big right now. Taylor Swift Volume 2 when it comes out. Michael Jordan's big. But then you have somebody who is just wrapped up a Kickstarter, and they might have done 8 grand on Kickstarter, and because Taylor Swift's on your website and Tidal is on your website, I mean, it drives business because a comic shop or somebody who wants to buy a bunch of comics for their store is now coming to your website. And then they say, oh, cool, what else is here? And I think it's very interesting because you want products that are alike. And I run an eBay business, and that is my objective is to put things next to each other that work well next to each other. So when I have a book that is referencing an anime character, I want 10 others that reference characters similar because likely if somebody's buying Mary Jane and then they're probably interested in Spider-Gwen too.
mm,
So what is that like? Because I think it's fascinating how actually have a lot of eyes now on that. And I don't know if you have data, but I would imagine that sometimes those sales convert further.
Well, actually, I really love your business acumen. We don't really think like that at all. We don't think of grouping genres or what's hot or whatever was not. It just kind of worked like a first come first serve, and we just grouped them with a group our comics with a category. There's no sense of hierarchy or making just aligning things together, or aligning
It's
things.
because this is my issue, right? I have a hard time in comics and in pop culture. Like, I love police shows, right? So I love like Law and Order, and it's very easy for me to go from Law and Order to watch Chicago PD
Right,
because it's similar and I know what I'm getting, right? But when I'm looking for an anime, I'm like, is this going to be the best anime show out there? Is this going to be this? I have a hard time, even with books, I have a hard time finding genres and finding like minded products. It's very hard for me.
right,
And even with manga, it's a disaster. So when I find products where someone says, "Hey, if you like Naruto, this is like Naruto, but with pirates," and then this is like Naruto and One Piece combined if they had a baby, I'm like, okay, I'm in because I know what I'm getting.
right.
So something like Ninja High School is a really good example of this, where if there's stuff like Ninja High School, and I know you sell Ninja High School, it would make my life easier and it would make a retailer's life easier too. And that's my point, is that that's why I think this is interesting.
Right.
If you
Well, I hear what you're saying, and maybe we'll adjust our algorithms, but we intentionally do like a first come, first serve type listing. It's because we feel that's how small comics get lost in a shuffle. Like when we started, for example, when we worked with Comicsology many years ago, 2009, 2010, we were a big fish in a small pond, our comics. And all of a sudden, they brought in DC and Marvel and all the other big uh, corporate level corporate level publishers, and they did the algorithms to group things together and all that stuff. And then we started to get lost in the shuffle with it, with all the new players and new people involved. So um, I just saw that too many times, not just with Comixology, but I saw it with Crunchyroll and many other type distribution platforms for digital. So I don't want to get um, any small guys lost in the shuffle when the tidal waves and the anodic press come. So I want them to get the same opportunities, the same exposure as Taylor Swift. So it was just kind of our philosophy. So if it makes us less money, so be it. But it's just important for the little guy to get a chance to um, to to get a chance to get exposure on the same footing as Taylor Swift, as you say. At the same time, tidal wave that just gives us a lot of titles. We get on average maybe about 20 titles a month, um, new listings, as opposed to just a new guy has one book a year. So it's all one first come first serve, but we just get a huge volume of titles from tidal wave, and we got to
so
give them
let,
opportunity.
let's actually talk about that too, because obviously Tidal Wave is a company, Antarctic Press is a company, they're a publisher. If that makes any sense, where they're a comic company that produces a lot of titles from a lot of different people. So naturally, they're going to have more titles than somebody who's running 4 Kickstarters a year or 6 books a year.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the nature of the business. Um, but that's interesting, where, because I think anybody can come onto your platform as long as they fill out the form. So if somebody has, a fun, manga about being trapped in another world or leading or building an army. I interviewed somebody, I think they have a manga, How to Build an Army. And it's an interesting manga. It's a fun manga, but they're allowed on your platform just as much as Taylor Swift is, and her book is allowed on your platform.
Hmm.
And so, what is that like? Because that's also interesting, because somebody could be like, hey, I don't want to go and do all the work to get into a comic shop, but I just want a place where they could order it. And I want to direct them to your website. and then you guys handle the printing between you two, and that's the end of that. Because let's be realistic. I mean, if I had to print my books, bring it to a comic shop, figure out where to print my books, how many I need to print, what I need to do with whatever printer I'm using, it's a freaking headache versus somebody else doing it. And is it really the best use of a creator's time? And that's the other thing too, is that in many ways you're a service in that retrospect.
Yeah, we definitely want to provide that infrastructure for creators where all they need to do is just focus on the creation of their comic, the pencil ink being um, creating a PDF. As long as it's just a print ready, we want to handle the printing, the shipping, all the logistics and the product procurement and the reporting for sales and all that stuff. You guys just creators just handle the creative and have it ready just a print. So as far as to to address your issue about a comic listed alongside a Taylor Swift or whatnot, we do have resources on our platform where the independent creator can get exposure. Like the creator can write articles about their comic, and it's seen by everyone. Like you can write articles when you make adjustments or edits to your work is right back on the main page. So I like to think like this. Basically, I liked Steam's the methodology. Steam in circa 2014, where they just let everybody let everybody on the platform, and you can do a lot of you can do really well. Steam, the game platform, they had a lot of resources to help an independent gamer to get exposure to everyone, and and even still be listed alongside a Street Fighter or a AAA game. So that's what we want to do too. We have resources on our platform where you still get exposure alongside it. Plus, we try to improve on the social networking widgets where you can share your listing on your own platform from Facebook or X or whatnot. And but we do encourage you to the creatives. You still gotta do the work of promoting marketing. Like this is your work. Still promote your work on your audience on social networks or on comic book conventions or whatnots. We'll list you. We're there to list your comic and get it available to be sold in stores. But you still have to be a salesman and a salesperson and promote your work. We'll do everything we can on our platform to help you get exposure and the sales that you want. But outside of that, trade shows, conventions, your social network, please continue that and use our resources if it can help you. But it takes kind of both of us, you know.
Do you feel, because I think a lot of creators, and it's just my opinion, and somebody put an article and they're like, oh, there's 4 steps where there's organic, there's paid advertisements, there's podcasting, which is retention. And I think their article and their post was absolutely wrong. And the reason why I say this is that it's taken me 10 years to get any traction on YouTube and 1,400 videos and a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of work. And I think a lot of comic creators right now, and I'm curious how you feel about this, is they do Kickstarter, they put a lot of effort, and then they do some conventions, but that's the be all end all in a lot of ways. And they feel that the Kickstarter is the be all end all. When I actually think that the Kickstarter is the least of the issue. I think the Kickstarter is supposed to be kick-starting the project and getting the Boulder moving a little faster than it should without assistance. And that Kickstarter is pushing it downhill a little bit faster. But I feel that a lot of creators don't want to hustle their books, don't want to sell books, don't want to find people who want to buy their books at wholesale, don't want to do things of that nature, don't want to go on a bunch of podcasts and have conversations and put in social media work and everything that takes time. And I think if somebody thinks that they could put their book on your platform and it's going to sell 10,000 copies, I mean, I hate to be the one to say, well, that's probably not how it's going to go, because I think you got to put in the work. And I think a lot of creators don't want to do that because they say, I produced a book and I'm so fucking tired because I just spent $6,000. I didn't get any sleep for the last month. I still got to finish the book. And then I got to spend another 40 to 50 hours packing this shit up. I hate this fucking book. Why did I do this? Who the hell convinced me to create a comic book?
Yeah,
That's what I think happens. That's what I think happens. I really do. And they're like, let
it's
somebody else sell it.
it's
And yeah,
well, no, I didn't even interrupt, but I'm still a creator.
you can tell me to shut the fuck up at any point. Please
No,
do.
no, it's all facts. There's no lies. So uh, the Kickstarter thing, it's like you definitely need to work hard on that. Like I kickstarted maybe 4 books on it now, and my first Kickstarter, it was for a game and it failed very bad. But then I did talk to uh, uh, the the creator of Samurai of Oz, from Olympus Press.
Ron,
Ron, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This guy does amazing work. He does his Kickstarters are just it's incredible. Like just how much money he makes from that. So I met him and at San Diego Comic Con, and I literally asked him to help me. Like, I mean, give me some advice. Like, I'm your pupil. You're my Jedi when it comes to this. So he took some time to tell me how to do how to effectively sell your Kickstarter, which is basically he told me that you got to join a lot of Facebook community groups, like comic groups, not just post something on Facebook and that's it. You have to join a lot of Facebook groups and be an active part of it, and then promote your Kickstarter from there. So that's what I did for all the 4 or 5 that I did, and it's a grind. It's a grind, to to go to each channel. I mean, to go to each group and promote. I did like once a week. Like I spent like maybe an hour and a half just promoting the my book on Kickstarter on these groups, and it's a grind. It is a grind. You got to do it, and like for me, I spend like through the life cycle of my book, I spend time for the creative parts, and then the creative is creating a book, and then then another part of the year, I would say like the summer, I was focused on marketing, like doing trade shows, comic
It's
books, all that stuff.
interesting you bring this up because I spend about 40% of my time um writing and doing interviews, and I spend the next 60% of my time promoting and editing and understanding where to cut up and build micro content next to each other and finding the next interview. So I don't spend most of my time is not spent for this show in this show. And it's working. It's working. The micro content's working, and it's accelerating faster and faster and faster. And people think, oh, you only have 10 views on your micro content. But fast forward 6 months later, the micro content that had 12 views now has 100 views, but there's legitimately 120 videos that got buried beneath, which is what I want because I just want more and more content. But it is very much a grind to do that, and it's exhausting, and it really you either have to really love the systematicness of it, and I'm a logistics systematic guy. I love logistics and operations. I love it. So I love that component, but it is brutal. And I just think people hate it in comics. They don't understand systems and operations. I put out a feeler saying who needs an interview.
Mhm.
And I said, I need somebody for Monday. And there's like, I got a book in July. And I'm like, you didn't read the post. You sort interview or needs interview. You didn't look at when I needed it. And that's where I think the problem lies, is that a lot of people say, I need help, but they don't read or they don't want to learn the rules or they don't want to sacrifice because it is brutal. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, everybody has a journey when it comes to comics. Some really do really well because they're diligent and they treat it as a business. And there's people who are just artists and creators, and they don't really want to focus on the
But there's also people who are lucky. I was watching something with Mark Cuban. What Mark Cuban was saying is that obviously any billionaire and any millionaire, anybody who has been a successful entrepreneur, you have to have a good idea. You have to have good systems in place, but you also had to get lucky. And this is one of my biggest pet peeves, and this is a reality. So he says, "Oh, somebody asked me for a favor, and they just wanted me to do it for free, and I work really hard." And my response to that person who said that, and she hasn't set him up, but she was bitching, and she was a cosplayer, not to put them down, but I'm like, look, you were in the right place at the right time, and you do work hard, but you also got incredibly lucky. If I was to take away everything from you now and make you start your Instagram all over again, you may or may not be able to do it. And I think that's part of the issue with comics right now too, is that some people just are in the right place at the right time and they got lucky. And there's plenty of people I see who have great ideas, but they're just not in the right place at the right time. And it happens. And it has nothing to do with hard work. It has to do with the fact that this is that brutal. Where
well, I agree, but I also believe that if you stay ready, you're always ready. So let's say you are lucky and you get a big break, but if you don't have the skills to follow through, then the luck is not going to work. For example, like good examples, like um, early into my career, I was approached by Nickelodeon to the um, executive vice president of animations. They came to my booth at WonderCon and they literally was just like pleading with me. We want to make a an animation series based off your work, and I thought great, but I wasn't ready. I didn't know they were talking about Flash animation, all that stuff, and I didn't know what they were talking about, and the opportunity went away. It kind of happened twice, actually. Like it just yeah, it happened twice in my career. So yeah, you're lucky, but like if you're not ready, if you don't know, you don't then the luck.
I agree,
But
but
sorry.
also if you keep grinding, you know, there's a good chance that breaks will come. But I know plenty of people who keep grinding and they haven't gotten a break. So I have a friend who's trying to get a business and the guy's working his ass off,
Mhm.
but I don't know if he's gonna get a break. And I just think it's just one of those things where, it's obviously a side hustle. He's pushing hard. He works hard at it, but
Yeah.
it could very well be that just somebody's not going to get a break on it. And that happens too. But I do think that if you are in comics and you produce one book and then another book and another book and another book, I think at a certain point you will get a break, but I don't know when that will come. It could be that it could take 20 books for you to get a break, and that could kill you. That could kill you. And I mean, I was fortunate enough that I got some big interviews early on
Mhm.
that really helped. But again, even now, it's just one of those things. And sometimes you just meet the right people at the right time who help you. And
Right.
that happens too. And there's people who say, I want to take care of you because I get it. And I've been there. And that there's people that I've taken care of in that same way too, where they needed somebody to introduce them to somebody else. But again, I've been in the right place at the right time. I mean, I got to do the bushwhackers.
Right. Well,
And
already.
that was just I met the right person at the right time,
Mhm.
and it was just a weird fate meeting where they were on a stream. I was on a stream. I'm like, "Oh, dude, you're writing the Bushwhackers autobiography? That's so cool, man. If we could do it, no pressure. If they need an interview, I'm happy to do it. But if it doesn't work, we could still be friends." And that was the end of it. I didn't expect anything of it. He's like, "Yo, dude, 2 weeks, Bushwhackers want them." I'm like, "Let's do it."
Right.
So
Well, I hear you saying this is like it's kind of same thing. Well, like I told you about the missed opportunities for with Nickelodeon, and I didn't know anything about animation or anything. Almost 15 years later, now I've produced maybe 4 animated shorts. We've produced a CGI live action CGI film, but still no no breaks. No Nickelodeon never came back. No other big companies, but nonetheless, well, we're consistent. We did our work. We know what we're doing. We don't necessarily need the break anymore. Like it'd be nice, it'd be great, but like we can build your own opportunities. You can create your own opportunities now because we've been to the grind. We build our own stuff. We've proven we have a proven track record with our own things and everything. And if we can build our own opportunities. We don't need Nickelodeon anymore. Like there's streaming.
Let's actually talk about that because I think that that's also a misconception. So I'll state it. I'm a capitalist. By definition, I love America. I think America is the greatest country in the world. And you don't get what we have in America by accident. We have, and people are going to argue with me, and I know I'm going to say some controversial. We have the best healthcare in the world in America. We have the best safety nets in America. And if you're in America, you are in the top 5% of the richest people in the world per capita by
Mhm.
far. The poorest people in America are richer than 95% of America of the world, which is crazy. So
I,
so
I have to beg to differ, but I digress. You can go.
no. My point is that it's better to be poor in America than being poor in the Congo by far.
Well, they're not exposed to cancer than the people here in America. All the toxins and the epigenetics of life here.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But my point is that in America, we have wonderful things, and I'm a capitalist, and I don't think the American dream is dead. But there are people who think it is, and I think it is a big problem where I think anybody in comics can get what they want. I think you can get your product option in comics if you really want to, and you work at it and you put in the effort and you say, look, I want a Netflix deal.
Mhm.
I think that is obtainable. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I think that is on the table. I think anybody who produces a comic on Kickstarter can get a Netflix deal. Will you get a Netflix deal? I don't know if you will or you won't, but I think you can get it. I think it's an option. It might be a 1 in a million, but you got to work your ass off to get it.
Well,
And that's where I think this is really messed up because I think a lot of people in comics say, I can never be me. And I think that's a problem. But I don't think they want to learn the rules how to do it.
well,
Right?
that's exactly why we did Comic Distro. So you can call it luck for us. Like we were working, toiling with Diamond for good 15 years and all that stuff, and then, well, I wouldn't call it luck, but I did just said forget it and just worked, found an agent from the book business, and that gave me an opportunity to get back into stores. But what I'm trying to say is that Diamond, as a distributor, they intentionally made it difficult for people to break in to get a big break. So you're talking about Netflix getting a big TV deal from Netflix or whoever. It's the same type of thing when it comes to working with for comic book distribution for like Diamond or whoever. So we wanted to just break that gatekeeping, that to give the American dream for everybody, to decentralize, to democratize opportunities for everybody, because that is a problem with, for me, I believe, the American dream is like it's very difficult to get up to here from when you're down here by design now because of capitalism. Capitalism just keeps.
Do you think it's capitalism, or do you think that there's been a shift in gatekeeping? Because I agree that there's been issues with gatekeeping. Now, and I'll make a bunch of good arguments. So I'm really big into small corporate business bonds.
Mhm.
That product didn't exist 5 years ago. It is a $10 bond that pays anywhere from 8.25 to 11.5% interest monthly with principal and interest. So $10, that's an extremely low entry point, right? I think $10 is low, right? And then also what's happened, I think for the first time too, is music is becoming democratized between things like Songfast and Jukebox and things of that nature, where you could buy shares in music royalties that pay you a quarterly dividend. And those are like $30, sometimes they're $5. So I think this is the first time that a lot of stuff has become democratized that used to be behind closed doors. And I don't know if it's the SEC rules have changed. I don't know if a bunch of entrepreneurs said we're tired of this system, but I do think gatekeeping in the last 3 years in comics has come down significantly. So I'm a big proponent of that.
Well, it's still there because you can't just go to Marvel Comics and expect them to publish your original book, right? It's there's still a lot of hurdles. Like you can't go to DC and tell them, "Hey, I want you to publish my original Captain Butterball Bunny." No, they won't do that. That's they have systems in place that they want to do their way.
But is that gatekeeping though? And I'm challenging because here's my argument in that, right? I think gatekeeping, and this is what I think, right? I think gatekeeping saying, oh, you're brand new, and I go to DC, I say, look, I'll work in the mailroom, I'll do whatever, I'll do your accounting, I'll do this, and then I'll work for free. I want to intern here. I just want to, clean up from somebody. I want to fetch an artist to his, coffee. I'll do whatever it is to get my foot in the door, right? And then they say no, but they don't have anybody doing it. That I think is more gatekeeping, but even still. So I don't think DC not wanting to publish somebody's original project is gatekeeping. I
Well,
think gatekeeping is Kickstarter saying, oh, Captain Butterball, nope, we're not approving your project, even though you met all the criterias of that. So I agree there's gatekeeping still. I don't know if that's gatekeeping, but I agree there's gatekeeping where I think there's people like, I can't think that there's some top artists in Marvel and DC who say, oh, that artist is shit. Oh, that guy over there is just starting this comic. He's going to fail. Right. I think that's more gatekeeping where you have artists putting down and top people saying, oh, you're a failure. Why are you doing art? You don't belong in art, because I've seen that a lot.
right, right,
That to me is more gatekeeping than anything else. When you have a top artist telling somebody who legitly just published their first book, your
mhm,
book is shit and you don't deserve to be an artist and leave the industry. That's gatekeeping. DC saying we don't really like your original book concept. Not so much gatekeeping. That's just them saying it's not for our company. So that's my challenge
mhm.
on that. Because I don't think I'm gatekeeping if I don't want to take an interview from somebody. Am I?
Well, I'm just gonna put it this way: like, if you try to if you try to release a new solicit a book with Diamond, I'm not trying to beat on that Diamond or anything, but it's just an example I can think of. They won't take it no matter what type of collateral, no type of if you follow all the rules that they tell you to do. They won't take it. They will take it only if you refer to to someone they know, like an agent or someone of stature of
Or if you're at Antarctic Press or you're at Scout or Scoot, right? All of a sudden you get the red carpet rolled out for you.
right.
That that's gatekeeping.
It's the
Yeah,
same.
I
So
agree.
another example, like San Diego Comic Con, great place, great platform, and all that, but they don't just give anybody booths. You have to when you try to get a booth at Comic Con, a 10 by 10 exhibitor booth. The first thing they ask you is like, who have you exhibited with before? So like in my case, I exhibited with Devil's Due many years before I was able to get my own booth. So it's unless you're international, like an international publisher, they won't give you a booth space at Comic Con. You kind of have to know some. You have to get. I guess get some type of good referral or good from somebody established. That's what I mean. So like it's difficult for someone to just start day one to
I
get a
agree.
platform like
I
Diamond.
agree. So
That's what I meant
obviously,
by gatekeeping in a way.
and then I know where you're going. So obviously, one of the things is that obviously I interview a lot of people, so I have the ability to buy wholesale. It's
Mhm.
a really cool privilege when you get the ability to buy wholesale. Not everybody gets it, but it's taken me 10 years to get it. Now, I'm sure that I also wasn't ready for it, but there's plenty of people who are happy to sell people their books at wholesale prices without much clout because they just want their books out in comic stores and on eBay stores and on whatnot because they want their product out and about and mingling because it's good overall. But that I think is not gatekeeping. But then if I wanted to do something with another company that was more prestigious, it might be complicated to get it. Um, but so I agree that there's things like that. But also, I'm going to challenge the San Diego thing because if I go to like a place like Awesome Con or New York Comic Con or San Diego,
Mhm.
I don't want some run of the mill kid who has one issue or not a great comic. I want quality product and I want diverse product at the same time.
Right.
Because if I'm spending $100 for a ticket, I want a plethora of really good product. So I agree that there's massive gatekeeping. And I wish that they would take some specs on that because they would find diamonds in the rough. But I do like when things are, I guess, verified too.
Well, before I say I don't want to get in trouble with San Diego Comic Con or New York Comic Con. They do have ways that independents can get in. They have Artist Alley. They have um, small small press.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying when you want to get on the same stage as like Marvel or DC.
When you want to be in a 10 by 10 booth
Yeah,
in a nice prestigious component, there you go.
yeah.
That I get where you're going with it. I'm not no, wait, nobody's gonna get in trouble. I mean, this is well known. I
But
mean, this is
even still, sorry, even still, like even with comic with for Comic Con, you have to show a portfolio of your work. There is some type of rules like protocol rules that they don't just get anybody in. Like I noticed one of my artists from Ego Manga, they wanted to have their own table, and they told me about the um the labors they have to go through with Comic Con to get in and all that. So there is some challenges sometimes too. Even if you're a very skilled artist, like this guy was a Disney artist. He was a Disney artist and so had to deal with some issues. Sorry about that.
no. I get it. I get it. It's tough. I mean, my whole thing with COVID and I used to do panels.
Mhm.
I did like 60 panels, and then I'm applying to a con that I was frequently there. And I kind of told the guy who was a panelist, the new one, I said, dude, I've been here doing panels for you guys for 9 years in a row, and you're going to reject me? Are you out of your fucking mind? I've done 60 of these. I've been doing this for 12 years, and I've been all over the country. Are you out of your fucking mind?
For that convention, or I know you did panels for many years, but for that convention, or
For that convention, I did 6 the previous year, and I did 6, the most out of anybody here on shitty days. You didn't pay me, you didn't even give me a stipend for food, and you're gonna reject me? Fuck you, was my response.
mm,
And my parents were not. They said maybe you didn't handle it the right way, and I said no, I think I did because there gets a point where that's a local con because I was in DC.
mm,
It's a local con that serves 8,000 people. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me a brick. And I'm glad I did it. And then I don't live in DC and I have no desire to go back to that. But I was thrilled to say it because I think that you got to say things to people. I think people need to hear it. I do. and I will live and die. Now, if I get rejected from New York Comic Con, that's different, right? I'm not gonna go and do that. But if you've been loyal to a local con and they only service 500 people, you
Mhm.
know, it's a little bit different. But
Well, what I have to say about being consistent. For example, you had that situation with your local show in DC. I had the same situation at Anime Expo. I didn't curse them out or anything, but they did some things that I objected. Like for they, um, there was a year they actually,
I felt, and I'll say it the nicest way possible. Sorry to cut you off. They needed to be checked. They needed to be checked in a very different way,
right,
especially given that I was a resident of DC and I was doing that for years.
right.
They needed to be reminded that you told a local and somebody who did like 25 panels in 5 years at your con that you have to accept me even one. They needed to be checked, and
Right.
sometimes cons need to be checked,
So
and that sorry, continue.
no, no, no. I hear what you're saying, and I totally understand. I did the same thing. I I worked for AX, not work as I exhibited for AX, panel for them for 20 years. Okay, so there was a year where they lost my panel, so my panel, all my panel submissions. Like they had a system where they just lost everything. So the deadline happened, and I find out that I had no panels at all, and I was really upset, and to the point where I just stopped. I just canceled, pulled my exhibition. I said I'm not gonna exhibit booth at at your show, and all that stuff. So I did take them to task, and they rectified it, but because it was they rectified the issues because of the fact that I put in the work as a it wasn't luck. It was all work, year after year after year, exhibiting, doing panels, doing producing great products, having a big track record. That's the life of the comic book industry. You'll get lucky, great, but you gotta put in the work, put in the consistency of your craft, your work, your audience, and all that stuff, and then a show like Kaname Expo will help you out. They will rectify wrong. Yes, I took them to task. I didn't chew them up. I didn't curse them up. But like
Well, I didn't
they
care.
saw my tracker. They saw my company's track record. So they respected it and they acknowledged it. So it's not luck. It was just grinding all these years and working and
Yeah,
that. So it's
you're
not,
more of an adult than
there's,
me.
there's value in the work. So it's not about luck all the time. You gotta.
I agree. I
Uh,
agree. All I'm going to say to you is that what I've learned is that sometimes in certain circumstances, I agree that say, hey, look, I've been doing this for 5 years with you guys, and
mhm.
this is what I've done. And let me formally introduce myself. And sometimes that works and say, look, I understand that you got to make choices, but you can't sit here and tell me that these panels aren't good because I've been all over and what's going on here.
well,
And sometimes that works very efficiently and
did
say, look, I'm a local in DC, but other times you gotta just bring it down to something. You gotta humble somebody.
did you
And both have been effective in my life.
years later? Is it if you guys patch things up or is it
Oh
still?
no, 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 no. I'm not. I don't live in DC anymore. I have no desire.
Uh,
I have no desire to go. I mean, again, it's not personal. It's just business now.
right. Well,
And I'm also in a different place where I'll be honest, I'd rather be a podcaster. I am more effective as a podcaster than I'm ever at an anime panel.
nice.
I am done sort of with Comic Cons. I haven't been to one in 5 years. I have no desire to go.
Oh, what a shame.
I had such a horrible experience at
Right.
a con where they lost my whole thing. They kept me on the panel. They just made me feel really horrible about me not being in the brochure on the thing, paying for a hotel when I had very little money at that time. And they made a statement. Their founder made a statement at a con, and it was the most anti thing that happened to me. And again, it ruined the whole experience for me. And we're 5, 6 years in. I have no desire to go to an anime Comic-Con ever again.
Well, I hope you reconsider because people change and feelings.
No. COVID hit.
Like sometimes there's different regimes as well. Like there's new people taking those roles and they have different attitudes about you.
The woman who it fell on
Mm-hmm.
just made a bad call, but she didn't understand what that bad call was and what the consequences of that bad call were. And it's unfortunate because when you legitly are scrapping money so you can
Mm-hmm.
stay at a hotel, you're speaking for free on a topic that you have information on that's privileged to you, and then you're not on the goddamn thing, and then it just ruined the whole con for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just ruined the whole thing for me. And I even said to my mom, I said, do I even want to be here when that whole thing happened? And I almost left. I almost got in an Uber and said, you know what it is? I could have just as good a time going back to my apartment in DC, going to my local bar and saying fuck it. And I almost did.
Mm-hmm.
I was that disappointed. And that was my last con that I did, and I haven't been back, and I have no desire to come back.
Sorry.
Nothing's gonna change my opinion on it right now.
Yeah, well, you're in DC. You're not in DC anymore, so it doesn't matter.
I'm in Connecticut now, so again, there's Hartford. I was tempted to go to 90s Con, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to do it. That's not true. I'm going to a convention in August,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a sports convention. But again, that's also business because I'm just going to bring a lot of cards and get them graded for my business. I'm super stoked for it. I'm so excited for the Tops booth. Oh my god, I'm gonna drop so much fucking money on that. I'm gonna be so poor that weekend. People be like, Andrew, why do you look sad? Spent like 20 grand this weekend. It's gonna be great. But no. But that's how I feel. But enough about that. That's a whole fucking hour long conversation. But
I have my own stories with cons too, but I
like the digital space. I like where I'm at. I'm so much more effective and so much happier because I can help more people as a podcaster than I could ever do at an anime con. I have so much more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing 4 to 6 hours of podcasting every week, I have so much more, I guess, knowledge and help in promoting people than I could ever do at an anime con sitting on a panel talking about a topic. Like
Yeah.
I can't change somebody's life or get them a backer at an anime con. But when I'm here and somebody needs something and somebody's Kickstarter is struggling, I can at least get eyes on who they are.
Yeah.
And maybe if we're lucky, and maybe by the grace of God, for lack of a better word here, maybe I could find them the right person that could change their life and help them and get them funded.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits doing digital as opposed to a convention, like a panel. Yeah, I agree. It's just for me, I love panels. I live for panels, good or bad. I just love being being in a large crowd. People come into your panel because of you and what you want, what you can help them with. So I love it. It's my thing.
I don't disagree. It's very cool when you fill up a room. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But also I'm also in a different position where I'm uncensored. I am no longer con and TV ready. I'm not. I'm not corporate either.
Mm-hmm.
Where I will tell people what I think if they ask me. If people ask me legit questions on things, I'm going to tell you what I think and how I react to it, whether you like it or not. Some of my ideas are kind of crazy.
Well, I think people like that at cons, like they're unfiltered. So it's
No, I am really unfiltered.
as far as corporate speak, you give your opinion. And I think people like that. The fan panels, as opposed to the industry panels, where we're more measured.
I am very unfiltered, and I like to curse, and people aren't ready for it. So I'm well aware that I don't belong, and I am not effective at a con.
Mm.
I am not effective anymore at a con, and I love it. And I would much rather just be here. This is way cooler, to be honest. And there's so much more positioning that I can do, and it's worth so much more money when I do this stuff.
Well, I like to be interviewed by on this platform because I talk about comics, but I'm so relaxed and um, working with someone who's very researched and well researched and knowledgeable about the field. So it's nice. You don't get that. I don't get that at a comic book convention. So I appreciate this platform.
No, I appreciate my platform too. Who knows? I don't know how long I'm going to be doing it. That's the problem because it's just tough and it is what it is. But every year I say I'm going to quit and I don't. So there you go. every year, it's been going on for a long time. That I've started a new policy. That's a good policy. No interviews in December.
Yeah, I'm thinking of for Comic Distro, thinking of having a series that invites the creators to talk about their comics and whatever they want to talk, something like this, but for Comic Distro creators and studios to utilize. I'm thinking about it. Maybe just have a fixed studio where just have these one-on-one interviews like this. So I think there's a lot of value in this type of.
There is in which that people want to know war stories.
And they want to know they want to know the creators. They want to talk to them. And well, not talk to them, but they want to know. I feel that retailers would want to know the people behind the comics, not just the comic.
I agree. In which that I think it is the reason why I get interviews is because I'm not a dick. I've put in work, and when you interview everybody and their friend, it helps. And also it helps when you have 800 interviews. And also, if somebody doesn't want to do a show, I'm like, great, I'll move on to the next one. If you don't want to be a part of this, that's on you. It's not on me. There's always somebody else who wants to be on. And I'll say it. I've interviewed top porn stars, and I've interviewed somebody who has 100 followers on Instagram, who's a cosplayer, who's a talented person, who's just the nicest person, except he owes me a cake. So I'm going to say it the nice way I could say it. He has a sick Green Lantern. He did a Green Lantern with a baseball bat, and it's like an aluminum baseball bat. Mm-hmm. And he looks like this big, tough, macho black guy, but he's the sweetest gay man ever. And it's such a dichotomy. And the reason why I say it that way is that you're just talking to him, and he's like, he looks like he's going to kill you. And he's just so nice. And then during COVID, he's like, I took up cake baking, and it's like, I've gained a little weight, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, just go home, just go home. Like, it's one of the funniest things ever because you don't expect it, and it's like A goes to B goes to C, but like he looks jacked. I'm like, that's a little weight for you, bro. Like, oh, it was just terrible. He's the nicest human being though, because it's just like everything that you don't expect was in that interview. He's like, I do cake baking, and then I take my like sifter, and then I freaking edge it out. I'm like, bro, just shut the fuck up. Like, it's one of the funniest things that's ever been said on my show because it's the way it was said and not what was said. But again, that's my point. Is that, but people want to know this cosplayer bakes cakes, and that he views that he gains like a pound when he's jacked, his little weight. I'm just like, it's great. But anyway, getting back to Comic Distro. So obviously you got a lot of titles on there and you have a lot of stuff. And is it just for stores, or can people on eBay do stuff with it, or can anybody order what they want? Like, how does that work?
Anybody can order from it. We lowered our minimum to 1. So a lot of fans, just a lot of comic book readers, they order from the site. And yeah, initially it was supposed to be a business-to-business platform, but we were motivated to
democracy.
Yeah, like just when we started carrying Dolly Parton, a lot of our fans came to the site to buy books for themselves. So they're not businesses, but they love Dolly Parton, so we had to lower
Because I can tell you right now that I mean I'm a business and I want to carry books, and I'm not opposed. And I'll be honest, if I know that Darren Davis is going to be at a convention and I could buy a bunch of Taylor Swift things, I might want to get a bunch signed. And all of a sudden, I have the ability now to make money. Like it sounds crazy, right?
Right.
Because I don't think you have an issue where you're making money, and if I'm making money, I'm gonna come back to you if you make me money, right?
Right. Well, if they want to resell the books that they buy from Comic Distro, it's up to them. It's however they want. If they want to consume it as fans, if they want to resell it like you or others, it's fine. Just buy the books. Enjoy the platform. So
That my point though is that again, also what it is that I have a local comic shop, and I have a good feeling that they're not gonna buy that Michael Jordan book, right?
mhm.
In their shop just because it's probably just not gonna fit in. So that's the other thing too is that I'm gonna say I want this book and I want a whole tidal wave package, and I can go build one for myself now, and I don't have to worry about previewing it or hunting it down or going in dollar bins or asking my comic shop to order it for me. I can do it on a website, and convenience is king in a lot of ways. So
Yeah,
there's that. But
yeah,
I digress. I digress. You can go check out the website. It's in the link down below, everybody, or to the side or up above, depending on how you're viewing this. But I do want to ask you something outside of all this. And I'm curious where you think comics and pop culture is going, because we touched upon it a lot.
yeah. Well,
It's complicated. It's complicated, but
well,
Disney's doing all right. Disney's doing all right. They beat earnings and they beat subscribers by 2 million this quarter.
well. I didn't follow the numbers recently, but we've seen the tides how the movies weren't doing well with Captain Marvel, the Marvels, and just superhero.
Fatigue.
Yeah, people call it that, and yeah, it's after in for me after Endgame and well the Spider-Man sequels.
I mean, Deadpool was before Endgame, or Deadpool 2, or was that after?
I think Deadpool 2 was. I think it was no. So it was kind of the same time. Like no, it was no. It was because
Or was that a separate universe kind of thing?
Infinity War was yeah, it counted at the same time. Infinity War and Deadpool 2 came almost kind of the same time because Josh Brolin was doing double duty promoting both almost simultaneously. But just your point about my take on superhero genres. Well, it's good that Marvel is correcting itself there, just focusing on they're scaling down their production. Like I think there's focus on Deadpool and Wolverine this year, and too much. There was just too much content on Disney Plus that weren't up to snuff to the fans. Uh, like people were hate on She-Hulk back then and all that, and oh gosh, the Black Adam-ish situation was a challenge for DC as well. I don't really have much to say. I'm not just a fan like anyone else. I don't have any dog in a fight.
This is my view on it, is that things come and go in cycles. As a business, and I've learned this, where right now comics aren't working in my eBay store, but cards are flying off the shelves. I cannot keep baseball cards in my store all that often.
Mm,
Last weekend, I shipped out almost 200 cards. I don't think people understand when you're shipping out 200 cards, how much tape and how many envelopes you need to buy, and how much ink you need to buy. It's
yeah,
crazy. You go to Staples and they look at you and they're like, "This guy
yeah,
runs a business. Oh, would you like to open up a Staples credit card, sir?" And I'm like, "I'm going to take you up on that offer." And it's very funny when that happens. She was cute, so it's all right. But anyway, but jokes aside, where things come in cycles, and I said it before Endgame. I said I think superheroes are exhausted. I, I, I think it's been overplayed. This started in what, 2007?
Hmm.
15 years. The economy in America and the Marvel Cinematic Universe have the exact same bull run. Legitly, which tells me that, and then we in 2020, we had a mini recession that led to what is known as stagflation that's coming.
Hmm.
Stagflation with superheroes, this is too correlated, which tells me that this is tied and superheroes are tied to the economy.
Well, that's awesome. I love your perception, but it's also bad writing. People didn't like the writing from the what was it, the Inhumans. They hated that. They hated the writing for that. The humans.
I lasted 20 minutes, man, in that
Yeah,
movie.
the
I
humans.
lasted 20 minutes. I couldn't do it. I lasted like 15 into Aquaman 2. I couldn't do that movie either.
Aquaman too. Yeah, and well, there were some hits like Joker and the Batman and the Spider Man.
Those were good. I
Those
mean,
and
the Spider-Verse was good.
it's just Marvel and DC just had back after back of just badly produced films like Blue Beetle and
But it's not just them though. Disney had a bunch of bad movies. And then unfortunately, the Nuggets aren't doing Despicable Me 4 any favors. But that's neither here nor there. If the Nuggets turn it around, Despicable Me 4 will be fine. I mean, I'm sorry. Joker and his Gru commercials, the funniest commercial. Where he's in the suit. Have you seen it?
the new Joker.
No, 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 no. The
Who?
basketball player, Nikola Jokic, if he's known as Joker from
From basketball. Yeah, yeah.
and he's in the suit and he's like, they mean business. And the therapist's like, what does it bother you? It says makes me look like Gru. What does it bother you? He's like, it doesn't. He just won't leave me alone. And he shows all the videos. Guys, I'm not your boss. But the Nuggets aren't helping that movie at the moment. The Nuggets need to start winning, and that movie will go this way. If the Nuggets start losing, like if they lose game 3, it's gonna go this way.
Yeah.
But I think all jokes aside, there's been a lot of bad movies that have been horrible. The last 2 successful movies in the box office, actually, there's been a bunch, but Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Yeah, and Super Mario Brothers was a good.
That was good. That was good. There's been a few others, like Poor Things was good. Enjoyed that. I thought, what was it? Emma Stone was she in Poor Things? I think. But there's been a bunch of rough movies, and it's
Right.
not just superheroes.
Yeah,
So
but
I think
in the context of superheroes, it's just it just just back to back to back, and then with Disney Plus with their with all the programs they had like with Secret Invasion and what Moonwatch start and She-Hulk, Miss Marvel. I mean, people didn't like Buck Falcon and Winter Soldier. I liked that series, but just back to back to back to back to of also quality is the reason, and people want to lump that into superhero fatigue and
I'll
find
throw it even further, and I'll be honest. I mean, even with the Law and Order stuff, there gets a point where it all just starts blending together. You look at Law and Order SVU, seasons 21, 22, 23, and 24, and 25 all blend together.
yeah.
And I mean, organized crime, season 1 was great. Season 2 was kind of fun. But even season 3 and season 4, and now I don't know if we're on season 5 yet, but again, this shit's starting to blend together a little too much.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of crossovers with organized crime and SVU because Ben and Stapler, they were inseparable for like a long year. Benson and Stapler, right? The two the duos.
Yeah, it's good. We all want the happy marriage between them. It's great, but I digress there. But my point is that because I think that I think more content is better. right? Statistically, because it benefits my business, right? The more video content I have on YouTube and the more interviews I do, the more subscribers I get. And I'm consistent on how I release my content. But I also think that there's a problem where there's so much media that they need to take December off. If Disney and Peacock and every freaking media company said we're taking December off and going off the grid, you could still watch everything we got. We're not going to release anything related to anything that we're doing. I think that content would do better. I genuinely believe it because I think people have to relax. There's a reason why I don't publish content on the weekends anymore. I used to do that. And what I learned is that my audience needs time to consume it. They need time to watch a 3-minute clip. And when they get bombarded, they like get massively fucked up. And then when I take a week or two off and I publish nothing, my viewership and my subscriber count goes up. When I take a burn week, I don't lose subscribers. I gain them because people can actually watch my content. It's insane. And that's what I think the problem is that there's no time to consume it. Because once you watch Aquaman 2, Captain, the Marvels are out. Then you got, what is it? The Samuel Jackson thing that came out, Secret Invasion, is right after. Then you got She-Hulk. Then you got The Punisher. Like, you have no time to reflect.
I think for that was for they needed content for the Disney Plus for their platform. They needed content to gain subscribers and all that. But still,
Do they really need it? You're fucking Disney. You have 100 fucking years of content. You have all of ABC's network.
A lot of old SD quality content, not HD. Like a lot of stuff they can't even use anymore, like Song of the South. That was pretty offensive and stuff. I'm sorry. Nobody wants to watch 1960s era Chippendale cartoons.
No, I'm not even talking about that. Just put Kim Possible on Disney Plus. You'll be fine. Just put Kim Possible on there. Give me some Jake Long. Put PB and J Otter, Disney Kids. You'll be fine. That's just not that offensive. That's really, I mean, Kim Possible is not an offensive show. I mean, I'm sorry.
Not everybody wants to watch Kim Possible either. Like, I mean,
that's not true. Everybody wants to watch Kim Possible. Not everybody wants to admit it.
I haven't watched Kim Possible in like maybe 15 years. So
that's all right. You don't have to admit it. It's all right. It's all right. It's like the Proud Family. It's a great show.
Yeah, I love the Pratt Family, but I don't want to watch it. I mean, I know there's a revival, a reboot, and I used to love the Pratt Family back in the day.
No, you're just saying this so that your man card stays intact.
I just don't. It's
all right. I'm not going to push the issue. I'm just going to give you the win.
I agree with the Pratt Family. Like I grew up in Impossible and all the other stuff.
You're just saying this because you know you have to defend yourself. I understand. Why do you think I'm not pushing it? I am perfectly comfortable with my manhood to say Kim Possible is a great show, and I love Kim Possible.
I don't question it either. It's just different strokes for different folks.
I mean, Jake Long, American Dragon was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem admitting this. I'm fine with it. But again, I'm not going to force anybody to relive 2004 Disney. It's all right. You can do that on your time.
Like me,
you and Disney. It's all right.
Like for me, I would love to watch a marathon of Gargoyles or Darkwing Duck. So it's and it's older than Kim Possible and the others. But I love, those are my things. I love Tailspin and Gummy Bears back then. So, well, not Gummy Bears, but Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, the 80s version of the 90s versions of DuckTales. I would definitely binge those. But
my point is that I think Disney has actually the wrong. I own Disney stock, and I think Disney's great. I've been speaking about. I bought a bunch of Disney stock when it was dirt cheap because Disney is a brilliant company. They have so much media and they have so much good content that I don't think they need to produce as much as they're producing. I think they have it backwards. I think Disney should reduce their production and just publish their library, because I don't know how you feel, but there's stuff that I want to watch from my childhood. I'm 31. I really enjoy a bunch of stuff from my childhood, And
Right.
when Avatar: The Last Airbender was on Netflix, it was like the most watched show in America during COVID because people wanted to watch it with their kids and they loved it. And I got to interview Jesse Flowers again for the second time with that when it came out and we were speaking about it, and it was awesome. So my point is that I think a lot of people my age want to relive their childhood. And I think that's the play for the next 2 or 3 years with Disney. And the
Right.
90s are red hot.
Well,
So
I agree with you, but the subscriber numbers show or just tell the story. So I can't speak for attention. People love it, yeah, but if people come back for new content and such, but we
they
can.
need to find a happy balance, but I digress. But I was just curious your thoughts on that because again, everybody has a different viewpoint, and I understand because I'm obviously loving the '90s, so that's where I'm at. But that's my view. But again,
I would definitely. I unsubscribed, but I'm definitely going to resubscribe to Disney Plus. I'm waiting for Armor Wars to get when they finally um, air that. I mean, that was kind of the reason why I wanted to get a subscription. I got a subscription because of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and when they announced that Dan Cheadle was getting his own Iron Man series, that's the only reason. But I'm definitely. I mean, yeah, I'll come back eventually. So.
I enjoy Disney. I love my Disney Plus. I think it's great. I think Disney's a great company, and I may or may not have a Tinkerbell credit card, so I'm very comfortable with who I am. No. See, people make fun of me until I explain why I have a Tinkerbell credit card. Is when you take a girl out to Applebee's or Chili's,
Yeah.
and you're having a good date, or you don't know, you got to test her because you got to figure out as a single guy, you have to pull tests to find the right mate. I'm sorry, this is how people are crazy in the world. You got to pull tests here. It's like you forget your wallet. You see if she takes care of your Starbucks. You see if she'll go to the gas station at 2 a.m. to get you a King Cone drumstick. These are important tests.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important one is that you're having a good date and then you pay with your Tinkerbell credit card. You pay with the Darth Vader credit card. It's like, oh, cool. You got a Vader credit card. Okay. It goes either here nor there. But a Tinkerbell credit card raises questions. But if she's like, oh, man, it's a Tinkerbell credit card, and then she pulls out one too, you know that you're going to the ring store the next day. But if she's cool with it, you got to do that. And then you know she's a keeper. If she makes a face, exit out.
Is it because she's a Disney fan person? Because I get what you're saying. Like my wife loved Disney. My first girlfriend, she was into Disney. So
No. It's a test because the whole point of the test is that is she comfortable with her boyfriend, her fiance, and her man having a Tinkerbell credit card in his wallet?
yeah,
That's the whole test because it's a really girly credit card, and because once you have that and she's okay with it, you can get away with whatever you want.
yeah. I don't think I could. I don't think I could. If I was single, go back in time being single. I don't think I could do that. I just I'll be asking more questions than getting more compliments. Even if I was dating a Disney girl, a Disney fangirl.
It has nothing to do with Disney. It has to do with the fact that you have a really girly credit card in your wallet and you're judging her reaction. That's all this is. Again, there's like 15 ways how to test people, and this is the most subtle, effective way because it saved me a fuck ton of problems.
What if you had a Barbie credit card then?
Even better. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, Tinkerbell works, Barbie works. See, Cinderella's complicated because then she's like, oh, he thinks I'm a princess. See, that's why you can't use Cinderella because that's the problem with Cinderella is that it gives mixed signals.
Okay.
But having a Cinderella credit card in your credit card binder is very cool. I may or may not have a credit card binder. What credit cards have uses? It's not my fault that I know how to use and churn credit cards. I'm sorry. That's tomorrow's class, by the way, everybody.
What about female characters that are had a fan base of men like Sailor Moon or Jim? With that, you think the test would work too? Like I wouldn't mind.
Is it a prepaid Visa card?
I don't know if it's credit card. It's just as long as that.
That was a lead right into your advertiser. That was a lead right into your free.
Oh right, yeah, Vanguard Princess prepaid. That's a good point too. That's a good point too. We have
that was good. That was good. That was good on me.
But yeah, I mean, I would if I pulled out my Vanguard Princess debit cards. People may not recognize the game, but the fact that I had Anime Girl as a brand as my credit card, that is. Now I see what your point is. It's doesn't bother me, and we'll see how she would react. But I would
everything's a test. Everything's a test because as somebody who runs a business, I can't date normally. This is the problem. I can no longer date normally as a podcaster or somebody who's doing stand-up comedy now, as somebody who obviously holds a job down well and has a 401k that's looking nicer and nicer every 2 weeks. All of a sudden, I'm a high, in desire man. And so I have to find creative ways how to test to make sure I'm finding the right girl.
Yeah.
And it sounds, but they do it too. This is just dating, and it sounds crazy. But again, you pay the Tinkerbell card, and it's funny because it's always good when your server knows what you're doing. And good. I'm gonna do one too. It's like, oh man, that's good, man. Like, I had a server do that to me. He said, "Hey man, can I speak to you for a sec?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He's like, "Yo, dude, what's up with the Tinkerbell card?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm testing her. We're on our first date." He's like, "Dude, that's brilliant." Dude, like, hey, where'd you learn that? I'm like, where did you not learn that? No, I didn't say that. I'm like, yeah, my friend gave it to me. It's good. He's like, oh, dude, that's good. I'm gonna go get one too. It was great. But now that I got you and me both in trouble, and now everybody knows I have a Tinkerbell credit card, hopefully my date, when I go get back in the dating world in like 2 weeks, hopefully she won't pick up and see this. It'll be really bad if she's like, "Oh, I know what you're doing, Andrew. Oh, I saw that interview."
Well, we're all playing games, and when you're dating, so.
She's like, "Oh, I know what you're doing now." So I might have blown my cover, everybody, but I have nothing to say about that. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up? Your website, social media, all that fun stuff.
It's comicdistro.com. We're on the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Feel free to send a direct message to me. I always respond. So thank you very much for the time. And
thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. You'd be surprised. People don't show up. It's terrible. But absolutely, I appreciate it. And obviously, I'm going to keep saying it, is that if you like what people are doing, whether it's their Kickstarter or they're producing a comic in whatever way they're producing it, and they're selling it at Shopify, Webtoons, it's free, email lists, social media following there, all that stuff matters, and you need to interact with people and support them, what they're doing. Obviously, money is very important to getting products made, but following people on social media is also just as important, if not more important. So going and doing that and following people on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat. I don't know if there's anything else. Threads. That's a new one. All that stuff matters. And then as far as I'm concerned with everything that I'm doing, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on the YouTube, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok. I run a bunch of Facebook groups. I run Indie Comic Connect, and then I'm part of a bunch of other ones. So you can join my group. It's free. You can post whatever you want, comic related, just no porn and just no sales of comics. But you got a Kickstarter, you can drop it in there, and that's the goal with that. As well as I run an eBay store. So look for comics and collectibles and come shop with us on eBay. That is Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I carry a lot of cool books like this. I have all 15 of these in beautiful hollow foil. I also have all 15 of these in beautiful hollow foil. I have 10 rogues in hollow foil. I have these Starfires that Mount Olympus released in hollow foil, which are very cool. So if you want those books, that's something that I got going on. And I have some of these, which is a beautiful book as well. I believe this is all sold out. Beautiful hollow foil, as well as a virgin, as well as a trade dress. So if you want that book, I got you covered. And then I carry a lot of cards. But apparently, I'm getting complaints here because people cannot see this card, and it's beyond frustrating. Because I contacted Leaf Metal, and they're like, "We weighed it," and I'm like, "Guys, I can't see the card," and they're like, "But we weighed it, and we put it against other cards that we can know were in existence, and they weighed the same. We threw it in there, we taped it up for you, and we don't know what to do, and they won't give me a refund." And I said, "I can't see it," and they said, "Well, you're out of luck because we can't see it either." And then I sold it to my customers, and they're like, "Really appreciate the card, man. You packed it beautiful, protected it, insured it, all that stuff, but we can't see it." So I am very upset and perplexed because apparently nobody can see this card, but they're all happy with it. So who knows? We're figuring it out. It might take us 16 times to figure it out. But
So respect.
what would you say?
A lot of hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Very much, very much. 16 different ways. But because knowing is half the battle. Oh my God. Yes, I carry that card in my store along with a bunch of other really cool cards of that nature, as well as a bunch of baseball cards. So again, if you're looking for really cool merchandise, I got you covered. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I don't have a book you're looking for, I probably know somebody who does. And I am more than happy, and I've done this many times where I referred other people to find the books they want. So come into my store, you're looking for something, and I don't have it, there's a good chance I know somebody who does. So that's everything that I got going on. And yeah, I'm just here to hang out and have a good time, and appreciate everybody coming. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Thank you very much. All I can say, thank you. I appreciate the conversation. Hope you have a great show.
And I believe that is a wrap, everybody.